For 2 decades, I carried a secret that weighed on me every single day. I kept it buried, believing I was shielding my children from a painful truth that would do more harm than good. But now, as I watch them wrestle with the fallout, I wonder if I made a terrible mistake. It all began when my children were just 8 and 6. To the outside world, my wife and I had built a picture-perfect life. Stable jobs, a beautiful home in the suburbs, family vacations, and all the trappings of the American dream. But behind closed doors, our marriage was unraveling faster than I could hold it together. I first noticed something was wrong when small amounts of money started disappearing from our joint account. $100 here, $200 there. At first, I assumed it was a banking error. Then the withdrawals grew larger. $1,000, $2,000, sometimes even $5,000 at a time. When I confronted my wife, she always had a reason. School expenses for the kids, helping her sister, home repairs. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Then came the credit card statements. Multiple new accounts, all maxed out. Hidden bank statements revealing loans I had never signed for. The deeper I dug, the worse it became. I found casino transactions, late-night online gambling sites open on her laptop, payday loans taken out in my name. In less than 2 years, she had lost over $200,000. One night, I found her sobbing in the bathroom, surrounded by overdue notices and final warnings from the bank. She swore she would stop, that she would get help. I clung to the hope that she could change, that the woman I had married, the one who used to clip coupons and budget every penny, could come back to me. We tried everything: marriage counseling, addiction therapy. I took control of our finances, blocked her access to credit, and for a brief moment, I thought we were on the road to recovery. She attended Gamblers Anonymous, showed up for our children, and I let myself believe we had turned a corner. Then one day the bank called. She had opened new accounts using my social security number. She had taken out payday loans in my name. And that wasn't even the worst of it. The final betrayal came when I discovered she had forged my signature to take out a second mortgage on our home. We were on the verge of losing everything. But the hardest blow wasn't about the house, or the money, or even the lies. It was realizing she had stolen from our children, their college funds, birthday savings from their grandparents, every penny set aside for their future, gone, lost to online poker and slot machines. The divorce was ugly. She fought for custody, accusing me of financial abuse because I had restricted her access to money. Her family, except for her sister, stood by her side, either blind to the truth or unwilling to face it. I had no choice but to lay out every damning piece of evidence in court. In the end, I was awarded primary custody, but the judge still granted her visitation rights. When my children asked why their mother wasn't living with us, I told them she was working on herself. I thought I was protecting them. I wanted them to have some version of a mother, even if she was a deeply flawed one. I softened the truth, made gentle excuses. She was busy, she had to work, she would be back soon. But every time she reappeared, it was with grand promises she never kept. Trips to Disneyland that never happened, gifts she couldn't afford, declarations that she was moving closer, only to disappear again. Each time she left, my daughter would cry herself to sleep. My son grew angry and withdrawn. They blamed themselves, wondering what they had done wrong. As they got older, the questions became harder to answer. My daughter acted out in high school, skipping classes, dating older men. My son threw himself into sports, pushing himself to exhaustion, punishing himself for something he couldn't name. They went to therapy, but without the real truth, they struggled to understand the root of their pain. There were close calls. Once, their mother showed up at my son's football game, clearly high on something, causing a scene about how I had turned her children against her. Another time, when my daughter was 16, she convinced her to give her access to her summer job savings account. Within a weekend, $3,000 was gone. I covered the loss, lied again, told my daughter it was a banking error. Another secret. Another layer of deception. And then last week, everything fell apart. My former sister-in-law, the only member of my ex-wife's family who had ever supported me, came to visit. She had always disagreed with my decision to keep the truth from my children. And after seeing their mother relapse yet again, she decided enough was enough. She told them everything. The fallout has been worse than I ever imagined. My daughter won't speak to me. She says I robbed her of the chance to understand her own childhood, that every trust issue, every fear of abandonment, every struggle in her relationships suddenly makes sense. but she's furious that it took 28 years to find out why. My son, though more understanding, still feels betrayed. He says I had no right to decide what truth he could handle. He's been working in finance for 3 years. How many red flags did I think he needed before I trusted him with the reality? They're both angry that they spent years blaming themselves for their mother's absence when the truth was something they could have understood. My sister-in-law told them about their grandmother's gambling addiction, about how their mother started small, lottery tickets, bingo nights, before it spiraled out of control. She said they needed to know their family history, their genetic predisposition to addiction, so they could break the cycle. Now they are re-examining every memory, every disappointment, every broken promise with a new lens. My daughter called me last night, crying, asking if the Christmas their mother missed was because she was at a casino. If the reason she moved 5 times in 2 years was because she was running from gambling debts. If the reason she wasn't at my son's state championship game was because she was sitting at a slot machine. For the first time, they truly understand why I always said no when their mother called asking for money. But understanding doesn't make this any easier. I told myself I was protecting them, but now I see I was also protecting myself from difficult conversations, from their pain, from the possibility that they might hate her. I thought I was giving them the chance to have a mother, but maybe I was just helping her hide from the consequences of her actions. The truth is out now. There's no undoing it. All I can do is be here for them as they process it, answer their questions honestly, and hope that one day they understand. Even if I made the wrong choice, I made it out of love. But love, I'm learning, sometimes means letting your children face hard truths instead of trying to protect them forever.